welcome you to our show called On the Shoulders of Giants.
We have worked very hard about giants and their history.
There have been so many men and women who have come before, who have greatly influenced our lives.
We feel fortunate to be able to honor them by performing this show. Come along with us as we pay tribute to all the leaders and heroes who have come before us.
Come along as we salute those who have made it possible for us to live as we live today.
Sir Isaac Newton said,
It is by standing on the shoulders of giants.
Come along, a new day is breaking. Come away for today, a new world is waking. We face our fears with defiance, we block the shadows they make. We stand on the shoulders of giants, as we face the one unafraid. Unafraid. We can rise above the mountains for the wildest dreams. Now because of what they gave us, we can follow our dreams. Come on, a string we are sinking away for today. The dreams we are making, there's the shoulders of others, the burden cast away. We stand on the shoulders of others, like the mountains we walk every day. Every day. We can conquer any challenge. With their help, we'll come through. No dilemma we can't manage. There is nothing we can do. Come along, a new day is breaking. Come away for today, a new world is waking. We face our fears with defiance, we walk the shadows they make. We stand on the shoulders of giants, we stand on the shoulders of giants, as we face another world. Unafraid. Come along, unafraid.
What? They added another state? No problem. There's always room for one more. Greetings, one and all. I'm Betsy Ross. Gather around and let me tell you a little story of one of the finest men that ever lived.
Who is it? Who is it, Betsy?
Well, hold your horses and I'll give you a hint. Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise.
I know, my dad.
Well, your father might have said it, but he's not the first.
Give us another clue, Betsy.
Okay, Oh, here's a good one. Either write something worth reading or do something worth writing.
I know, Miss G. I know, Miss Howard.
No. Okay, last clue. In this world, nothing is certain except death and taxes.
I know, Benjamin Franklin.
Bingo, Ben Franklin.
I'm Ben Franklin, author, statesman, scientist, inventor,
and a diplomat and a giant in so many ways, and I'll never forget it. And just so you can remember me, I'll play a special song for you. Hit it, Betsy.
Let me tell you about a man known as Franklin. He was a founding father, this is true. Born in 1706, he just loved his politics and invented a witty writer's too.
Ben Franklin, there's nothing he can't do. Ben Franklin did a lot for me and you. He flew his kite, found some electricity. Oh, Ben Franklin, shine your light on me.
In the history books we know a man's Franklin, but his friends and family like to call him back.
A soldier in the winter, a master in the wintering, even fought a fire now and then.
Ben Franklin, there's nothing he can't do. Ben Franklin did a lot for me and you. He flew his kite, found some electricity. Oh, Ben Franklin, shine your light on me.
Hey, look, it's Thomas Jefferson. Tell us something more about Brother Ben.
Ben Franklin was a friend of mine. His inventions all were mighty fine. He spent a lot of abroad and built himself a lightning rod.
That's our Ben.
Made with smoke and people listen when he spoke. So recognize him if you will on the face of $100 bill.
Let me have a go at this.
Okay, George, you knew him well.
By his stayed around for 85 years. He was a little rotten. It was odd. It was odd. He was loved by all his lovers. He salted his life of and on time in France. He even liked to do this game. Come on.
Now let's dance.
Hello, Alexander Grambo here.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, of course I can hear you, Mr. Einstein. You don't have to yell. This is a telephone.
Do you know how this thing works?
Yes, of course I know how it works.
Hey, Alexander, do you know why Mr. O married Mrs. Ohm?
No, Albert, I don't know why Mr. O married Mrs. O.
He couldn't resist her.
You are a very funny one today, Albert, but don't you have anything better to do than talk on the phone all day? That's very funny, Albert, but I'm a very busy man and I...
Wait, Alexander. Do you know what happens when you cut a prism in half?
No, Albert, I don't know what happens when you cut a prism in half.
All the prisoners escape.
You are a very funny one today, Albert, but don't you have anything better to do than talk on the phone all day?
Well, you invented it.
Yes, of course I know I invented it.
And you refined the photograph.
Yes, and I find the photograph. But you've come up with some pretty good ideas yourself.
Oh, hold.
on Mr. Alexander. I got a call on the other line. Hello?
Hello, Thomas Edison here.
Oh, hello, Mr. Edison. Nice to hear from you again. Say, do you know why Mr. O married Mrs. Ohm?
No, I do not know why Mr. O married Mrs. O.
He couldn't resist her. No, I don't know why. It's not very funny.
Now, Albert, I've come up with an idea that will make the electric light bulb last for hours. I feel quite certain it will change the world forever. Oh, hold on, Albert. I'm gonna call on a different line.
Hello, George Washington. Hello, Mr. Edison. George Washington Carver here.
George Washington Carver, it's been ages. Say, do you know what happens when you cut a prism in half?
Of course, all prisoners escape.
That's right. That's right. Now, George, how's the peanut business going?
Fantastic. I just keep on coming with more and more uses for that wonderful plant. Listen, Thomas, I've been talking to Alexander Graham Bell and Albert Einstein on the other line. Why don't we just hang up, get together, and have a little convention with all the great inventors of all time?
Sure, that sounds like a splendid idea. Shall we invite Steve Jobs?
I never heard of it. I never heard of him before, but there's always room for another inventor of all times.
Inventors, we love the great inventors. As our mentors, enter, we will name them all for you. We'll have a convention to see the new inventions. We'll give us your attention and we'll mention what they do. Alexander Graham Bell made the telephone. Every single one of you will never feel alone. Louder, louder, can you hear me now? Louder, louder, can you hear me now?
ways people reveal the giants that thrive inside them.
Some are brave inventors, like our Archimedes and Henry.
Or like the Wright brothers and Johann Gutenberg. Others are people like statesmanships or Abraham Lincoln and George Washington.
Or like Old Lincoln or Winston Churchill.
There are giants that use their pen and words to move the world.
Mark Twain, Henry David Thoreau, and William Shakespeare, to name a few.
There were artists like Michelangelo, Van Gogh, and Picasso.
There were composers like Bach, Beethoven, Brahms, and Mozart.
There were teachers like Aristotle and Confucius and Noah Webster.
There were astronauts like Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Alan Shepard. When Neil Armstrong first walked on the moon, he said, "That is one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind." He and Buzz left a plaque on the moon that said, "Here out man from planet Earth, first set foot upon moon, 1969 AD. We came in peace for all mankind."
Krista McCullough was a teacher from New Hampshire. When she was chosen from 11,000 applicants to be the first teacher in space, she is going to conduct experiments and teach 2 lessons in space. On the first 76 seconds of the flight, the Challenger shuttle broke apart and all 7 crew members perished.
There are giants who worked for human and civil rights like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. King had a dream. He believed in equal rights for everyone. He said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that." There were famous presidents like Abraham Lincoln, and he said, "You cannot escape responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. And my dream is of a place and a time where America will once again be seen as the last place hope for Earth. So be sure to put your feet in the right place and stand firm."
Another important president was John F. Kennedy. Some of his most famous quotes were, "We must find time to stop and thank the people who made differences in our lives. One person can make a difference and everyone should try. And tell my fellow Americans that's not what your country can do for you, what you can do for your country."
Unfortunately, all 3 of these influential men were assassinated. Their lessons will always stay in history. Other giants were soldiers and doctors, entrepreneurs and scientists, and most important, and perhaps the greatest example of a giant in human form, the former president of South Africa. I am Nelson Mandela, who my people called Madiba. He was a politician. But through all of this, and most importantly, a champion for freedom. After 27 years in prison under the rule of apartheid, I was released and eventually became president of a free South Africa.
At last he was free.
Madiba was a giant in so many ways. He once said, "A winner is a dreamer who never gives up." And yet, despite his huge personal achievements, he repeatedly said, "I am what I am because of who we all are." Perhaps the greatest gift he gave to all of us is not his rise to power, but his giant example of needs to forgive and through forgiveness to be truly free.
Together you and I will far, Madiba, Madiba. We are the stars of who we are, Madiba, Madiba. We're neighbors, this was our Madiba, Madiba.
so we forgive. Forgiveness liberates the soul. It removes fear. That's why it's such a powerful weapon.
I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive all you live. You never heal till we forgive. I forgive all you live. Never heal till we forgive. I forgive you.
Mahatma Gandhi said,
If we are to reach real peace in the world, we shall have to begin with the children.
you don't have to be old to be kind of a giant to change the whole world.
Sometimes even a small child can have gigantic shoulders. I am Malala Yousafzai, a Pakistan girl who was simply shot because I wanted to go to school.
But she survived and has gone on to become one of the leading voices of the world promoting literacy for all. Her efforts made her the youngest person to ever win the Nobel Peace Prize. I'm Ryan White. I was diagnosed from AIDS when I was only 13 years old. He went on to become the bravest voices and public faces, educate the world about the disease. I am Anne Frank. I was one of the 1.5 million children who lost their lives during the Holocaust of the 1940s.
However, the diary she kept while hiding has inspired many more millions with its bright outlook and its impossible situations.
While hiding in an attic with her family, hiding and afraid for their lives, she wrote,
In spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart.
one child can change the world.
President Abraham Lincoln said to always bear in mind that your own resolution to succeed is more important than any other.
Stephen Hawking suggested how life difficult may seem, there's always something you can do to succeed at.
None of us would be here where we are today without the help of many others who had gone before us. Today we honor them to be giants ourselves.
Pledge to our truest hearts, minds, and souls, moving to our smallest acts. For this is what it takes to become a giant. There's a spark in every creation, starting out in somebody's heart. There's a largest forever.
Thank you everyone for your warm and enthusiastic reception. The name of my report is Every Single Day in the 3-year-long expedition of Captain Meriwether Lewis and Captain William Clark. The name of my report is Every Single Day in the 3-year-long expedition of Captain Meriwether Lewis and Captain William Clark. I'm sure they'll find fascinating as well as thorough. On the first day of their famous adventure, the 2 young explorers woke up. Then they ate breakfast, then they washed the dishes, then they went for a canoe ride, then they cooked their lunch, then they ate their lunch. Their lunch was good. It was venison, berries, potatoes, and... Quiet! I'm trying to give a report here. How rude. Who could this be anyway?
We're
What?
back.
What's going on here?
We're back.
We're back.
We're back. We're back.
Look. Back from what? Who are you?
Who are we? Why, we're Lewis and Clark. That's Clark and Lewis. We're back from the expedition. Yep, we made it the Pacific Ocean and back in only 2.5 years. We would have been here sooner, but that last 100 miles was the pits.
Yeah, the traffic on Missouri River was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was.
Look. Wait a minute. Just wait a long minute here. The expedition of Lewis and Clark?
That's Clark and Lewis.
Don't try and confuse me, mister. We
happen to know that the expedition of Lewis and Clark, that's Clark and Lewis, or whatever, took place almost 200 years ago.
in the years 1804 to 1806.
Wow, I guess that last 100 miles was harder than I thought.
You can't be the Lewis and Clark.
Do you think we could be the Clark and Lewis?
Well, I don't see how.
Well, I'm quite certain I'm Captain Meriwether Lewis, the person commissioned by President Thomas Jefferson to lead the expedition. That's right, he is, and I know I'm William Clark, the other victim, captain, who was asked to make the trip.
And I'm Charbonneau, the clumsy guided interpreter. At least I think I am. Am I?
And I'm Sacagawea, the guide for the group and Charbonneau's wife.
You are? Oh, yes, you is. I was. You are. I do.
Oh, brother.
I'm sorry, I'm the slave who made the trip. They call me York.
Hot dog scanning. Could you tell?
Yep, he's a dog, all right. No doubt about it.
I'm so confused. My report is sure to come under intense scrutiny if what you're telling me is true.
Research?
Yes, you see, I was supposed to give a report to the class about the adventures of Lewis and Clark.
That's Clark.
Yeah, I know, Clark and Lewis. I don't care if you're Garfunkel and Simon. My report says that you've been home since 1806. Now why should anyone believe anything I say?
Don't get all sad, little girl. We'll explain the whole thing to you. Yep, we'll give you a first-hand account of our trip.
It was wonderful.
It was eventful.
It was eye-opening.
It was rough.
Let's tell her all about it. Hit it, fellas. It was 1804, not a day before we left our homes and families. For 3 long years and lots of tears, we wandered through the land. We had no plan to show the way, but still a man we're glad to say. Regardless of the length, this all we're back. And Lewis and Clark. That's Clark and Lewis. Heading west to see
still not totally convinced.
But this sure is going to make for an interesting report.
And have we got stories to tell you?
Since I've got you here, I may as well check a few of my facts.
Shoot, lady. Well, don't exactly shoot. We've had quite enough of that for a while.
Yeah, tell her how you shot Captain Lewis right in the rear because you thought he wasn't elk sharp enough.
Ooh, yeah, really rough.
Oh, I don't think she wants to hear about that.
Neither do I.
What I don't understand is why President Jefferson was so keen on having you do the trip in the first place. After all, that territory wasn't part of the United States at the time.
Was it? It sure wasn't, but President Jefferson already dispatched two very capable fellows,
James Monroe and Robert Livingston.
to try to buy some land from the Emperor, Napoleon Bonaparte, who was in way over his head from fighting wars all over Europe.
Not that over his head was very high, but frankly, my dear, he was pretty well broke.
Sounds like a good time for a deal, my dear.
Look over there.
You should do it. She's the guide, you know.
Gentlemen, all eyes, all hopes are now fixed on you. On the event of this mission depends the future destinies of this republic.
No kidding, Mr. President.
Gee,
Frankly, Mr. President, this expedition surprises me.
I agree, sir. We currently don't own this land.
Heavy stuff, isn't it?
really rough.
I feel like we need to concentrate more on the land in France.
I agree, sir. It seems to me to be more likely. Oh, my name's Napoleon Bonaparte, and if I gotta do for you, I'm in danger being blown apart, so I make this appeal to you. All eyes are fixed on you. All hands are fixed on you. Georgia really is a love for 15 million bucks.
So you see, Monroe and Livingston bought a lot more than they originally intended.
Yeah, like 860,000 square miles.
The sort of blue light special of land deals.
The truth is, we didn't even know what America owned when we set out on our journey.
Oh, I thought we were just going on a little canoe ride or something.
Many Americans had some strange ideas about ownership at that time in our history.
You can say that again.
But let's get back to the trip itself then.
So you headed out of St. Louis in a couple of keel boats and canoes?
Was the trip everything you told it would be?
Are you kidding? It was the adventure of a lifetime. It was spectacular.
It was so enlightening.
What trip?
It was freeing.
It was magnificent.
It was glorious.
It was stupendous.
It was amazing.
It was fabulous.
It was fantastic.
It was wonderful.
Wait, stop, hold it. I can't believe I'm hearing this, and I'm known for having some pretty good ears. Good grief, fellas. Give me some music. Oh, now, baby, let me give it to you straight. From one end to the entire trip on 4 little paws and not a hydrant in sight.
They could tell you it was a great adventure full of romance, excitement, and thrills.
And just let me tell you that no matter what they say and no matter how they say it, the truth of the matter is the whole dog on was absolutely, positively, undeniably
Ugh!
gnats and flies, taste of bees, about a million mosquito fleas, rats and worms, snakes and squirms, and anything else that's covered in germs. It was a great adventure and all that kind of stuff. But let me fill you in, baby, from one who knows it was rough. Traveling every day's rough, rough. Never time to play rough, rough. Sleeping in the hay, rain in June and May, trying to run away in the sunshine. Snakes and bears, no one cares, especially when you're covered in hair. No one sleeps, makes you eat, especially when there's nothing to eat. It was a great adventure and all that kind of stuff. But let me fill you in, baby, from one who knows it was rough. Fighting rattlesnakes, rough, rough. With the alligators, rough, rough. Running through a lake, playing give or take, trying to be here again to be the same. It was rough, 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 rough. It was a great adventure and all that kind of stuff. But let me fill you in, baby, from one who knows it was rough. They say it was a great adventure and all that kind of stuff. But let me fill you out, baby, from one who knows it was rough, 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 rough.
Boy, does that sound rough. No kidding, lady.
Well, Skip is right to a certain degree. It can be a pretty trying adventure at times. What with wild animals, terrible weather, and trying to keep the native populations from doing us in.
What about those native populations? What was their reaction to your visiting to their land?
Why don't you ask Sacagawea? She probably knows the best answer to those kind of questions.
Oui, she is the guide, you know. And your wife.
He is?
Oh, I mean, yes. Wow. Sacagawea, what about those native populations? What was their response to their visitors from the east?
It's true. We would have never made it without Sacagawea as a guide and interpreter for the group.
Oh, my friends. Most tribes welcomed us as open doors. They shared with us their food, their homes, and their friendship. They felt there was no reason to feel afraid.
In most instances, we were people that had inhabited their world for generations, a world they already called home. This is our home, this is our land. Hills and valleys, mountains and sand. Generations lived here alone. Strangers
make my house grand.
This is our place, this is our dream. Every river, every stream, snow-capped mountains, oceans of foam. Strangers, this is our home. Strangers, this is our home. Strangers, this is our home.
In the house of long life, there I wander.
In the house of happiness, there I wander.
Beauty before me, with it I wonder.
Beauty behind me, with it I wander.
Beauty below me, with it I wander. Beauty above me, with it I wander.
Beauty all around me, with it I wander.
In old age traveling, with it I wander.
On the beautiful trail I am, with it I wander.
Wow, I'm beginning to see native populations in a whole new way. But my big question now is, how did you really know where you were going out there in the wilderness?
It was right, Scannon. The direction wasn't always obvious, but with the help of Sacagawea and other guides along the way, including the stars, the sun, the planets, and the river current, the direction was usually quite obvious.
Actually, it was our expert mastering of the sciences of astronomy, geometry, geology, physics, meteorology, and all the earth sciences, matched with our innate sense of direction, line, and form that got us to and from our manifest destination with nary a single miscue.
In other words, we got lucky.
Traveling along, doing just fine. We were some kind of collection. Which way to go? Your way or mine? Try not to lose our direction. Take a fork in the road, a branch in the river, a fork in the road. Which way do we go? A fork in the road. Now what can we do? Better take a fork in the road. Sometimes our lives is like that. It's just like that. Don't you know where you're going? Choices come up every day. Part of us grow. Take a fork in the road, a branch in the river, a fork in the road. Which way do we go? A fork in the road. Now what can we do? Better take a fork in the road. Go to the right, go straight ahead, or just sit tight. Sometimes life is just like that. It's hard to know just where you're at. Just like that. Take a fork in the road, a branch in the river, a fork in the road. Which way do we go? A fork in the road. Now what can we do? Better take a fork in the road. Sooner than better take a fork in the road.
Well, that explains that. Now, York, how about you? How did it feel to be far away from home?
Well, I've always been a long ways from home, miss. Out in the West in a whole new world, I felt more free than I ever have.
Te Vavone.
What was that, Sharpadu?
Te Vavone. It's a Shoshone word for stranger.
The truth is, I guess that we are all strangers in one form or another. And
in a strange new land.
I know I'm strange.
Te va volne. What a beautiful word.
It's funny how even in a crowd, a person can feel pretty alone.
Was there ever a time when you thought you might not ever make it across the entire continent?
Yes, indeed, there were times like that.
Like when the Sioux were going to do us all in.
Or when we nearly froze to death, we went to respect the Mandans.
Or how about the time when we saw 220 grizzly bears in one day?
That's right.
One of them almost had Charbonneau for lunch.
Really? Oh, that was bad, all right.
And I think the worst days were when we spent on the Nez Piers out on the Columbian River. We only ate salmon and duck meat for weeks on end.
Ah, yes, the Columbia.
That's when I knew for sure we were going to make it to the Pacific. After seeing the river of Missouri, I thought I'd never want to see a rushing river again.
We had made it across the entire chain of the Rocky Mountains. Needless to say, we were pretty battered.
Then Captain Clark discovered a large river we called Clearwater that led us right into the mighty Columbia.
We also met up with the Nez Perce Indians, who saved our lives through their kindness and generosity.
They fed us.
It helped us build new dugout canoes that got us back into the river, making its tumbling dash to the sea.
Beautiful sight any of us had ever seen.
It was beautiful. I mean, look! We had made it across the entire continent.
The world would never be the same.
Ocean in view, oh the joy, oh the joy.
Oh, the joy of equal majesty. Oh, the joy of the sea. Oh, the dream of great discovery.
asleep. Where am I? Lewis? Clark? Clark? Lewis? Where are you? Sacagawea? Sharkcanoe? Fjord? Here's Scannon. Here's Scannon. Oh no, Emil saw nothing but a dream. But it seemed so real. I guess it was too good to be true. Who could it be? Lewis? Clark? Sacagawea? Fjord? Is it really you? Oh, hi, Julie. It's only you.
Cassie, you'll absolutely never believe what just happened. I was just working on my report about King Arthur and his royal knights of the Royal Round Table, and you never guess who came knocking at my door.
King Arthur and his knights.
No, that's impossible. They've been dead for hundreds of years.
Well, who then?
Two guys named Clark and Lewis and their whole group just got done from their cross-country expedition.
We're